We're starting with Raw as Cody Rhodes faced Grayson Waller in a follow-up from the chaotic scenes we saw last weekend in Perth, and it was the American Nightmare who got the win. In a post-match segment, Paul Heyman attempted to pressure Cody to withdraw his challenge to The Rock, but Rhodes refused and with a steel chair in hand, thwarted an attack by some henchmen. Cody Rhodes hit one of the henchmen square in the face with a chair before dropping him with a crossroads, and on Twitter, Nessie Skylark revealed that he was the henchman in question. Many fans have given the pro wrestler a lot of praise for taking such a brutal spot from Cody Rhodes, and in his tweet, Skylark said that he was slightly less handsome than before. Skylark showed the damage that Rhodes' steel chair attack did to him, as the American Nightmare is holding nothing back in his hunting of the bloodline ahead of WrestleMania 40. Rhodes will make an appearance on this Friday's Smackdown according to PW Insider Elite, and we imagine any potential henchmen of the bloodline will be wary after what we saw on Raw. At WWE Elimination Chamber Perth, Cody Rhodes threw out the challenge to The Rock and dared the Brahma Bull to go one-on-one with him anytime, any place. This led to Seth Rollins stating that it's never one-on-one with the Bloodline, teasing a potential tag match with The Rock and Roman Reigns, which some feel will headline WrestleMania Saturday. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer shed light on the situation, saying that it's currently unclear if Rock Rhodes will indeed be one-on-one or a tag team match. A source told Meltzer to stay tuned, and he added that the matter will be addressed this Friday on SmackDown. It was also said that the original plan was for a tag match, but Cody made it clear he wanted a singles match with The Rock and reiterated that clarity will come on SmackDown. If the plan has changed from the tag match, it won't be the first time this angle has seen plans change, and we'll hopefully have a clearer picture when the Brahma Bull is on SmackDown this week. Over the past few weeks, a series of mysterious vignettes have been airing on NXT programming, teasing the arrival of somebody to the Gold brand. On last night's edition of NXT, the mystery man was finally revealed, and it was none other than Shawn Spears, formerly known as Ty Dillinger in WWE and a former AEW star. Spears announced his departure from AEW in late 2023, and it was speculated that Triple H would bring him back, and that's exactly what's happened for the self-professed Perfect 10. The segment in question saw Lyra Valkyria announce that she and Tatum Paxley will challenge women tag team champions the Kabuki Warriors next week before being interrupted by Ridge Holland. Holland attempted to issue an apology, but at that moment, the arena plunged into darkness as messages echoed throughout the venue, and in the ring, a hooded figure attacked Holland with a chair. That figure unmasked to reveal himself as Spears, shocking the fans in attendance, and WWE went to great efforts to keep his return under wraps. Fightful Select reports that Spears had not been listed on internal run sheets or documents heading into the show, despite the attack on Holland being rehearsed before the event went live. In those rehearsals, Shawn Michaels stepped into Spears' role without giving any clue as to who would be doing the attack when NXT went on the air this week. Spears had inked a new deal to return to WWE NXT prior to the airing of the First Three Faces vignette, indicating his comeback had been in the works for some time. Before his on-screen return, Spears remained hidden backstage and was said to have received a warm welcome backstage after his appearance during the show. This was a chaotic series of quick segments, with Valkyria and Paxley proving to be a fun unit who will work well with Asuka and Kairi Sane. Holland interrupting the pair was not the way to endear him to fans, and he's also going to have trouble building hype next to Spears, who will want to show something in his third WWE run. While Spears went by Ty Dillinger previously, Vic Joseph called him by his Spears name, and he also used a chair right away, likely directly bringing over his chairman persona from AEW. NXT chose an odd approach in using proverbs from various Asian philosophers to set up the Canadian's return, but after an AEW reset, he should have more success in this third WWE run. Now, Spears has become the latest AEW star to jump to WWE, and what did you make of his return to NXT? Let us know in the comments down below. In Heritage Cup action, Charlie Dempsey revealed himself as Noam Dar's opponent right before the bell, and he caught the Scottish Supernova in a surprising bridging pin in the first fall. In round 4, Dar landed a Nova Roller to tie things up, and No Quarter Catch crew all got involved to distract Dar and Oro Mensah in round 5, setting up Dempsey to win with a Dragon Suplex. This started hot with the first round decision, pushing Dar to work as the underdog as early as the second round. However, a lack of heat slowed this to a crawl down the stretch. With this finish, Dar finally got a taste of his own medicine as the numbers game would cost him, though it's a shame the pacing was so uneven. It was absolutely time for a change in the Heritage Cup scene. Dempsey is a great lead man with the title, and we assume every member of No Quarter Catch crew will defend over time. The most important thing now is that the group starts looking dominant, as they need to prove to be more than generic heels who can't win without outside interference. Carmelo Hayes refused to get in the ring with Ilya Dragunov unless a contract was signed for their NXT Championship match and gave Dragunov until the end of the night to figure it out. Hayes looked confident until Tony D'Angelo arrived, wanting the NXT Championship shot, and revealed that the contract was D'Angelo versus Melo next week in a #1 contender match. Dragunov agreed to those terms, leaving Melo unhappy, and it was a nice swerve of expectations and leaves the possibility open for Melo versus Dragunov at Stand and Deliver. Before signing, Hayes sent D'Angelo into Dragunov and then sent the Don through the table in a chaotic ending to the show. D'Angelo is a fresh challenger for Dragunov with fan support due to his steady work for NXT over the years, and there was a fun spot of Melo's security backing off, clearly paid off by the Don of NXT. Even if Melo wins next week, this sets up the Don as a future challenger while explaining why Dragunov versus Melo has to wait for Stand and Deliver. NXT has shown time and again that the NXT Championship scene is the most important for the Gold brand and gets the best booked segments consistently. It's been just 1 month since Vince McMahon resigned from TKO Group Holdings due to the allegations against him, and since then, a lot has been said about the former chairman. Wrestlers both past and present have weighed in on the McMahon scandal and their own experiences with the billionaire, and now TKO's CEO has given a statement. During a recent TKO Financials call, Mark Shapiro was asked about McMahon's status with TKO and whether he may still have some influence despite his resignation. He said, "Obviously we're talking about Vince McMahon specifically in terms of cashing stock. He still holds, I believe, 20 million shares. It's all registered. He'll do whatever he is going to do, and we're on the sidelines. We'll have a look, we'll see, we have no idea on timing, we're not having a discussion with him, he's given us no point of view on his motive, or if he plans to sell or not sell, or if he does, how much. We're going to wait around and find out, just like you." It's hard to ignore the uncertainty in Shapiro's comment, as despite him not wanting to have a discussion about Vince, he was saying that McMahon will do whatever he's going to do. Despite speculation, there's been no communication from McMahon regarding his plans to sell or retain his shares, leaving TKO and investors alike in the dark. After his return in January 2023, there are those who fear McMahon could still return to TKO despite his resignation. And what do you think TKO should do? Let us know in the comments below. As we said, several wrestlers have spoken about McMahon and their experiences with him in light of the scandal, and now Rob Van Dam has given his 2 cents on his former boss. RVD benefited greatly from McMahon's booking when he joined WWE as part of the Invasion storyline in 2001, but that won't cloud the Hall of Famer's view on the billionaire. While speaking on his One of a Kind podcast, RVD and Sabu talked about the McMahon allegations, and Van Dam believes the chairman has Mafia ties. He said, "I'm expecting to hear something about Vince and the Mafia eventually, you know? Yeah, he's gotta be tied up in the Mafia. There were certain years you couldn't do anything in New York without working with them. His dad worked with them. They ran the arenas and the entertainment business, pretty much everything at one point, so I know there's some stories there, yeah." Rob Van Dam mentioned the 67-page lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant and argued that some of the texts McMahon sent were actually about the Mafia and not powerful lawyers. He said, "In that 67-page complaint too, I read that he had sent her some things with allegedly, which I took to mean lawyers, but it depends how you read it. When he was like, hey, you can't give me any problems on this. I have phone numbers on speed dial. I have contacts on speed dial in my phone. They solve problems instantly. Things of that nature, and at the time, I was thinking it read like I thought he meant like big-ass high-powerful lawyers, but now I'm thinking someone will knock her off." With female talent being contacted by news reporters following this scandal, and Grant being one of several women McMahon paid off in 2022, there's a feeling that more allegations may be coming. McMahon denied all allegations of misconduct and has vowed to clear his name, but if RVD is to be believed, more may be coming out about the ex-chairman and his so-called Mafia ties. Since his loss against Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs at NXT Level Up back in July 2023, Cal Dixon has been out of WWE TV and in fact was part of the Bachelorette reality show last year. After over 7 months since his last appearance, Dixon made his in-ring return at the NXT Venice show on February 10th, where he lost in a singles match to Miles Bourne. This was followed by Dixon losing to Luca Crucifino in another singles match at the NXT Lakeland show on February 17th, but he's now also made his return to NXT TV. On this week's NXT taping for Level Up, Nixon made his TV return in another singles match and would come up on the losing end again, this time to Channing Stax Lorenzo. Nixon hasn't been getting many wins in WWE, but the fact that he's being used again is a positive sign for his career, and we'll have to see what's next for him in the ring. At Wrestle Kingdom 18, Tonga announced that he would be leaving New Japan within the coming weeks, and now that that's happened, it hasn't taken him long to find work elsewhere. From the moment Tonga made his announcement, fans speculated on him joining WWE, possibly as part of the Bloodline, and now at least part of those plans have happened. The Wrestling Observer reports that Tonga is indeed on his way to WWE, marking a significant transition in his career after a 14-year tenure with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tonga bid farewell to the promotion in a tag team match held in Sapporo last Saturday, and with his brother Tongaloa, they faced Hikuleu and El Phantasmo under the watchful eye of manager Jado. Tonga's wrestling roots run deep as he is the uncle and adoptive son of Haku, famously known for being one of, if not the toughest man in professional wrestling history. Haku's legacy in Japan began in sumo before he transitioned to All Japan Pro Wrestling and has worked under the names Haku, Meng, and King Tonga. As for Tama Tonga, he had expressed his desire to prioritize family time in his speech at Wrestle Kingdom and has in the past expressed interest in signing with a US-based promotion. While talks with WWE had commenced last year following the expiration of his New Japan contract, Tonga opted for a one-year extension in Japan before finalizing his move. During his Japan tenure, Tonga was a cornerstone of the Bullet Club alongside notable members like AJ Styles, Karl Anderson, and Luke Gallows, but it's the Bloodline where fans want to see him. His familial connection through Haku places him within the extended wrestling dynasties of the Johnson Maivia and Anoa'i Fatu families in what would be a huge get for the Bloodline. As Tama Tonga embarks on this new chapter with WWE, fans eagerly anticipate the impact he'll make on the global wrestling stage, and it may not be long before he's on WWE TV. In January 2022, MLW filed an antitrust lawsuit against WWE, alleging that the bigger company had used coercive practices to discourage third parties to establish partnerships with MLW. MLW specifically cited instances where WWE purportedly interfered with agreements involving media outlets such as Vice TV and the platform Tubi, and pressured them not to air MLW shows. After nearly 2 years of legal proceedings, WWE and MLW reached a settlement agreement in December 2023, effectively bringing an end to the contentious litigation. This settlement resulted in WWE committing to pay $20 million to MLW, which should serve as a lesson to WWE the next time they attempt to allegedly interfere in another company. The revelation of WWE's financial obligation to MLW came to light through TKO Group Holdings' 2023 business report and strongly suggests the legal battle was not going WWE's way. This is one less lawsuit WWE has to deal with, but settling the matter has certainly proven to be costly for the company, and we'll have to see where MLW goes from here. More from WWE NXT now, as well. Shawn Spears made his way back to the gold brand on this week's episode. This week has also seen the departure of one of the key figures backstage. PW Insider reports that Nick Bonanno has parted ways with WWE after serving as a writer and producer on the NXT creative team since 2022. Bonanno left following the latest round of TV tapings, ensuring he fulfilled his obligations up to that point, and his exit marks another major shift in the creative landscape of WWE. This news comes shortly after the exit of Jennifer Pepperman, WWE's senior writer and producer, who recently joined AEW, and now fans are speculating on whether Bonanno is all elite as well. The departure of key creative personnel like Bonanno and Pepperman raises questions about the future trajectory of WWE's creative team, and it remains to be seen if even more writers will follow suit. For now, Shawn Michaels will have to restructure his creative team to accommodate for Bonanno's exit, but it remains to be seen what's next for the former NXT creative member. With Drew McIntyre being one of the top stars in WWE right now, complete with a World Heavyweight title match at WrestleMania, there's been a lot said about his contract situation. McIntyre's contract is said to be inching closer to its expiration date, in spite of his booking suggesting he'll be around for a while. And what is the current fate of the deal of the Scottish Warrior? According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, while McIntyre has yet to officially ink a new contract, all signs indicate that he will likely continue his association with WWE. PW Insider Elite reaffirms that McIntyre's contract situation has not changed, and noted that both WWE and Drew are currently working towards reaching a new deal. While the uncertainties surrounding McIntyre's contract may have fueled speculation, it appears that both parties are committed to continuing their partnership. McIntyre could leave WrestleMania as the World Heavyweight Champion, but with his contract continuing to run out, there'll be a lot of questions that need answering as we get closer to April. Before the match between Kiana James and Kelani Jordan, Vic Joseph welcomed Booker T back after being out with a health issue, and there was an instant improvement in terms of energy and insight. There were some miscues in the match, but both women avoided serious botches, and James, the likely winner from the get-go, got the victory over Jordan. In tag team action, Edris and Malik Blade tried to keep up with the OC, but it was just one magic killer that scored the win for Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Post-match, Chase U and Nathan Frazier and Axiom demanded shots at the OC before the LWO arrived to attack Gallows and Anderson, starting a brawl which saw the NXT stars send the OC running. Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker watched the aftermath from the stage with matching sunglasses and refused to be intimidated by the OC in a later backstage segment. Gallows and Anderson were the right winners of the match, but despite the predictable nature, this was one of the most interesting matches that they've had since returning to WWE. That's mostly because their return has been forgettable, but the veterans fitted in well with NXT, where they can let fresh stars shine. Blade and Anafe showed off, looking like a top tag team against a main roster duo, and the pair did the heavy lifting in a match that could have been longer. It's a shame that the division is moving past Blade and Anafe, but the tag division is staying hot with an influx of main roster teams in the mix. Roxanne Perez raged backstage about missing out on a title opportunity to Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson mocked her, setting up a match which saw Lash Legend sent to the back. Perez took a beating from Jackson early, but the latter's inexperience cost her as the Prodigy got the submission win with the crossface in Jackson's first outing as a singles performer. She looked great as Perez guided her through the encounter, and it wasn't any surprise that Perez, the most interesting challenger for Lyra Valkyria, stood tall. Hopefully Valkyria will address this fact sooner than later, as with Stand and Deliver drawing closer, NXT needs to push their feud forward and build towards a title match. Luca Crucifino tried to keep pace against Dijak, but it was no good, as Hard Justice caught him with a discus boot and Feast Your Eyes to win. After the brawl, Crucifino slipped a crowbar behind the steel steps. Tony D'Angelo told Channing Stacks Lorenzo to remember that and go get him. Dijak yelled at Ava about Gacy until Gacy attacked him. It was later announced that Dijak and Gacy would fight in an Asylum match. Lexis King once again came up short on NXT, this time against Von Wagner, though given that Wagner rarely picks up wins himself, it was at least good to see the big man get the W. Jada Parker got the win over Gigi Dolan, the latter of whom worked a faster style than usual, and we wouldn't say no to seeing these two revisit this entertaining match down the line. On February 14th, AEW President Tony Khan hinted on social media about Dynamite undergoing a makeover, including a revamped set and logo that had come into effect following Revolution. In an image obtained by Ringside News, fans have been able to catch their first glimpse of the new AEW Dynamite logo, which features a sleek design and a slightly revamped AEW logo. Tonight's episode of Dynamite will serve as the final episode featuring the current color scheme and design, which has been in use since the beginning of 2023. But what do you make of the new design? Is this a change for the better? Let us know in the comments down below.